So today we're going to be talking about that. Just hold on a second here, because I need to start my record button so that we can record for all our social media. So today we have Dr. Marlene Siegel of Pasco Veterinary Medical Center in Lutz, Florida. I had to learn how to say Lutz, but anyway, now you get to do your job. You got to do your job, which is share, tag, like, follow, do everything to help grow the classroom and this information that is being garbled by the algorithms. Isn't that interesting? Because we're going to talk about how to take care of what are some of the things that we are doing that are harming our beautiful pets. So fasten your seatbelt, because we're going to learn and grow together. It's time to dance, Dr. Siegel. Here we go.
The Lillian Mcdermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian Mcdermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian Mcdermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice. Oh, and viewing friends. So nice to meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, as you know, we absolutely love our pets, whether they are huge animals or tiny itty bitty ones. There are certain things that are happening in today's world with our environment that could be causing them to die prematurely, to get sick prematurely. But what's causing it? Why now the life expectancy of an animal, by the way, they even might have depression. What is all of this happening? Why is this all happening right now? And so I want to encourage you guys to start thinking outside the box, that this may not be by chance, that this could be possibly that we are doing things that could be unintentionally harming our pets. How many of you, I want you to share with me what kind of animal you have, what kind, how much you love your pets, because we all love our pets. So today I asked my friend, Dr. Marlene Siegel. She is a holistic, alternative, progressive veterinarian who takes care of all creatures, great or small. And she is the owner of Pasco Veterinary Medical Center and more. This woman is in everything. And she's going to share some of the main reasons why our pets are not thriving longer than they should. Anyway, since it's our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Marlene Siegel is here to do just that. Welcome, Dr. Siegel, and make sure you unmute yourself. Make sure you unmute yourself. No, go ahead and unmute yourself. That's what I was trying to avoid. You. I knew that you hadn't seen my sign. Unmute. But you're looking beautiful without your glasses.
Here I am.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So share a little bit about your background. I'm so grateful that you're back. It's been about a year since, we started this whole isolation, and we had so many plans together to do things together. And just it's our first time seeing each other in over a year. So what have you been up to these days?
Oh my gosh, that's a loaded question. We could fill the whole hour just with that.
but we've been very, very busy opening people's mind and consciousness and giving them avenues to take their power back. Honestly, is really what our mission is right now, is helping people to start regaining their critical thinking. Very sadly, we have given our ability to think and to decide and to use that critical thinking skill, we've given it away. We've given it away to white coats. We've given it away to authorities outside of ourselves, to the government, to people that don't even have a medical license. We won't name any names here, but we're following these agendas of others without really stopping and understanding what is the implication, what is the cause, and is it even the truth? So that's probably where I want to start with people, is helping them to unmask their power so that we can start taking that power back. And there's no greater responsibility than to our pets, because we may be able to make decisions. We can choose what we put in our mouth. We can choose what we put on our face or not. We can choose what our lifestyle looks like, but our pets can't do that. They have to accept whatever it is that we create for them. So we have to start really being that discerning pet parent. I think truly they are the angelic realm that comes to help us see the light, to see the truth, to see the path. Because in our quest to help our pets be healthier, we're actually starting to make that shift for ourselves. And people say to me all the time, wow, should I be doing that for me? Or my animal eats better than me? Or, all these treatments that we come up with, they go, well, I'd really like to have that for myself. So that's why we created the Spas Family Wellness, which will open in this year, 2021.
I am so excited for you. For that.
It's relaxation.
Tell us a little bit about spas, health and family wellness.
It was actually birthed because of necessity. I think most of the things that we creatively make are out of necessity. And I noticed that when I was doing consultations for people all over the world, especially during COVID, that they didn't have access to the tools that we use to help detoxification. So I've said before, my 6 steps principles for how we heal the body is: number 1, you got to stop polluting it. So we got to go through all the areas that we create pollution. Number 2, we have to supply all the essential nutrients. Number 3, we have to heal that gut permeability, the leaky gut. We have to make sure the integrity is restored. Those are foundational. But number 4 is detoxification. And it's detoxification of our 6 organs of elimination. We have just burdened them so greatly with a level of toxicity that we can't keep up with that. So it's very important that we learn steps 1 through 3, but step 4 is, what do we do to actually open and support those organs of elimination? And when I saw that people just didn't have access, they couldn't all come to Florida. So I said, well, we got to find a way to get it to them. And I came up with, divinely, Spas Family Wellness. And so they are centers where people will go with their pets, and they will receive the same detoxification services that their pet will receive, minus hyperbarics. The pets get to do the hyperbarics. And for right now, we've chosen not to have the humans go in the hyperbaric chamber just for liability purposes, but that may change down the road. If a center ends up having an MD on board and they want to take on that responsibility for the human side, then that could happen.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. I heard your update. I knew you were planning on doing this, and you had been taking classes and had a franchise and do all this stuff, but I didn't realize that you had continued moving forward. You are a force to be reckoned with. I'm telling you, all of you, I want you guys to start thinking about any questions that you have. Tell me about your pets. Let us know if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or later on BitChute or podcast. Let me know. I want to know what your pets are. I'll tell you that we had Max for 12 years, and Max was a purebred Maltese who owned our home. And, but unfortunately he passed on, or ascended, because I'd like to say ascended, when he was 12. And we thought that it would take about maybe had three or four more years that he would be healthy. But now, as I look back on health differently than I do today, I see that perhaps maybe some of the things that I did, and I want to take ownership here, because when you know better, you do better. We don't have pets anymore, but at the time, I would say that the pesticides that we were using outside the home and the food. It wasn't until later on in his life when I started eating more vegetables and started eating a more whole food, plant-based lifestyle, that Max, whenever I'd cut my vegetables, he would just sit there and just wait for his carrots and wait for it. And I thought, man, why did I buy all these treats for him when he loves carrots? So let's talk about our foods and all the things that we could be doing unintentionally. Was I thinking about, the pesticides? Is that harming our pets?
Well, absolutely. So starting with diet is the actual foundation of our health. We are what we eat. We've heard that forever, and it's true. So we are omnivores. We are designed to eat both fruits and vegetables and meats, and quantities we could argue about, but nevertheless, we are designed that we can adapt to all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But our dogs and our cats are carnivores. Our cats are actually obligate carnivores. So when we are feeding them high carbohydrate diets, which, by the way, any kibble diet is 40 to 60% carbohydrate, which equals sugar.
Ooh.
40 to 60% canned food.
That's why they're getting so much diabetes,
leukemia, arthritis, autoimmune diseases, and of course, cancer. When we look at, including allergies, when we look at those big topics right there, nearly 100% of the animals have some form of chronic degenerative disease. And it starts under the age of 2. So we're not talking an old age problem anymore. Cancer is no longer the old dog problem that we rarely see. 1 out of 1.65 dogs in today's world right now are getting cancer. And 1 out of 3 cats are getting cancer. They're living 7 years shorter than they did 20 years ago. So these are horrific statistics. And in addition to that, when you add the other things that we just talked about, the autoimmune diseases, the thyroid diseases, the obesity, the arthritis, the skin conditions, the allergies, it's nearly 100%. So we really have to stop and evaluate, what are we doing to our environment? And here's where I want to tie in the even bigger picture. What are we doing to the earth? So when we are using these harmful chemicals and pesticides, and we have all these volatile organic compounds, and we're lathering them on our bodies and lathering them on our pets, and we're drinking them, peeing them out, pooping them out, all of that's going into our environment. So yeah, great, you have a nice green lawn. What does that cost for that to happen? And so between the carbon cycle disruption and the amount of toxicity that we're pouring, we're destroying the microbiome of the earth. At the same time, we're destroying the microbiome of our bodies and our pets' bodies. So I want to mention this because this is so important to me. Here we are vilifying viruses and bacteria, and we're antiviral this and antiviral that, which is really anti-life. When statistically, do you know that humans have about 22,000 to 24,000 functional genes? An earthworm has 38 to 40,000 functional genes. And a functional gene is the genes that actually drive our metabolic function, or drives our pathways. It tells our body what to do, what to turn on, what to turn off. So genomically speaking, we are about half sophisticated of an earthworm. When you think about it that way, right?
Yes.
But what makes us unique is that we can take that genomic information from the viruses, the bacteria, the fungi, the parasites, all of those, and we have designed this relationship to have a symbiosis with them. So even though our genomic functioning gene pool is pretty tiny compared to even an earthworm, because we're sharing this information with this microbiota, we are able to be very high functioning. Now think about this. Since our ancestors, we have reduced that microbiota by over 50%, just in our lifestyle. And that's over a period of a few hundred years, 1,000 a year or so, or whatever. But we are really reducing our ability to function as a human species. And we're destroying the planet in the same process. There are a lot of scientific reports out there, as Dr. Zach Bush talks about it all the time, that we have between 65 and 70 years left on this planet before we have extinction. Not because of COVID, but because we're destroying the earth with our behavior, with our poor lifestyle choices, with wanting fast, cheap, and convenient. We are destroying our world, our health, our pets' health. So I think the first thing that I would like to really encourage people to do is put on your critical thinking cap and ask yourself, is what I'm doing, is it helping or harming the earth and my body and my pet's body? So I am all about being an activist. I think that, talking about the problems is great, but if you don't have a solution, then why are you talking about it? So I always come to the table with 3 solutions for every problem that comes up. And we run our office that way too. So, hey, if somebody has a problem, come up with 3 solutions before you come bring it to me, because we have to solve the problem. So step number 1 is really making choices with our dollars, spending our money in a form that supports local companies, that supports local food growth, that supports companies that are supporting our home, our environment, our bodies, our pets' bodies. And so I'm not going to name names, but I think we all are aware that there are some companies that are not supporting us, but they're definitely, I say this politically.
Well, they're supporting their agenda.
Yes, and they're using our dollars while they destroy our local economies. They're flourishing. Mm-hmm. And so there are companies that we will not buy from anymore. Is it a little more challenging? Yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes I'll shop on those companies that deliver to your door and see what it is that I need or want, or what's out there. But then I will search for a local company or a small business owner, and I'll get my product that way.
Great.
And I will even spend a couple more dollars to support my local economy and not give my dollars to the big box companies that are destroying the world's economy right now all over the world. Yeah. So that's just one thing that we can do. Another thing that we can do is start being empowered to make our own choices regarding the growing food. Now that's for us in particular, but it also does impact our animals, because when we feel better, when we have a better mindset, when we are not living in this fear-driven monger world where we're terrified of the end, the apocalypse. No, this is our wake-up call. It's our opportunity to step into that power and to create the world as it should be. Mm-hmm. And just use the contrast of what we're experiencing as simply contrast. Mm-hmm. Okay, I can see what I don't want to be like. So how can I move into what I do want to be like? Mm-hmm. The reason that's important for our pets is because they are literally in training to our energy. So when you are in a state of fear or frustration or anger or hatred or whatever those low vibrating emotions are, you're transmitting these neurochemicals, and that's communicating to your own cells, your microbiome. It's giving them information. And then your microbiome is sitting there going, oh my gosh, we're in danger here. We got to do something to shift. And so they start turning on virulent factors, because they think the body, the ship that they're on, is going to implode. So let's turn on these virulent factors so that we can at least survive whatever this catastrophe is going on, because our mothership is giving us the signal that things are going down.
Yeah.
And guess who entrains to that? Is our pets.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
I've never talked to a pet owner that wants to harm their pet. We don't open that bag of kibble and put it in the bowl and go, gosh, I can't wait to poison you any faster. We don't create all this stress and go, here, puppy, you take my stress and you own it now. We don't do that. But yet unconsciously, we are not choosing the behaviors that help the world, our pets, ourselves, our families, our neighbors, to live that sustainable, thriving lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Those are great advice. And as a matter of fact, since we've spoken, I started a workshop, and it's called New Truth Series, I Am the Solution. Because everybody wants answers. Everybody wants answers, but that's not enough. We need to be a part of the solution.
Yes.
Everybody knows the answer. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows the answer. And we also know what's going on, but what are we going to do about it? So it's good to know that, that the food that we're giving our pets, that, the emotions that we are having, like when I saw a commercial, this is when I used to watch television, well, way back then. But when I saw a commercial that, is your pet depressed? Here are pills for your pets. I almost flipped my lid because I'm thinking, okay, screw your own life up, but don't screw the pets up, because they're just heavenly creatures. They're just heavenly creatures that just were sent here to love you. That is it. And when we start transferring our behavior onto our animals, that's a form of abuse too. So that's why I created the I am the solution. Get your mind straight. Get your mind straight. Take ownership, 100% responsibility for the life and what you've created around you. And if you created it, you can uncreate it. So I'm spot on there with you. So,
Absolutely.
and I know you have food that you have created because of this. Do you want to share a little bit about your food that you sell in your clinic?
Yeah, it's available online as well. So you can
Online.
we ship to anywhere in the United States and Canada. And the reason I created a raw food line was, number one, there was not a product on the market at that time that met the standards that I needed for my cancer patients. Mm-hmm. So really that's where the need came, because there wasn't anything out there. So I was like, oh my gosh, do I have to create that too? Mm-hmm. And I couldn't find a company who was willing to step up to the plate to do it. Everything for them was all about dollars. Oh, well, it's so costly and it's going to cost more to make. And, we don't think there's going to be people out there. I have found that people are willing to do what is necessary, because in the long run, you save money.
Yes.
Right? So I have a food forest around my house. I literally live in a food forest, and I'm in the middle of a city, but there's food growing all around my house. We've harvested probably 1,000 avocados this year. And then I sell some of them so people can have some. They're amazing. So same thing with our pets. We need to have a sustainable, species appropriate diet. And a species appropriate diet is the diet that animal would have eaten in the wild had man not intervened. So that's, anytime I want to know what the right solution to a problem is, I literally look at nature. I look at biomimicry and I say, how does nature solve that problem? Well, if nature's going to solve it that way,
love it.
Probably the way we should go. Mankind, bless our souls, we have this desire to do it better. And that's a good thing, but no one's going to beat nature. They've been here long before us, and they're going to be here long after us. Right?
That's right. We are not God. I think there's only one of that. And,
yes.
And so we got to look at what was created 6,000 years ago, or 4,000 years ago. That's right. And we need to look at that and say, you know what? We didn't have vaccines back then. We didn't have, we didn't worry about cancer, because cancer was not a thing back then. So these are all things that we've created from our own desire to be eating that apple and being more smarter than God. And so those are the things that we are doing also to affect not only ourselves, but our pets as well, and our environment.
Sure. Well, when you look at how our bodies were thousands of years ago, we had this plentiful array of not only a microbiota, all the different organisms that live with us, but we were in balance. So the problem now is not that the organisms are the evil entities that need to be destroyed. No, because we can't live without them. I just gave you those statistics on functional genes.
I know.
The problem is we've created an inhospitable environment within the host community, i.e. our bodies and our pets' bodies. Mm-hmm. So we go back to the basics. Number one, stop polluting. So quit using pesticides, quit using insecticides, quit using antibiotics. There's only going to be less than 20 years left before antibiotic resistant is so profound that they're worthless. So we're already almost there. We're 20 years. We might as well start learning other modalities that are more appropriate to be able to help the body recover.
Totally agree. I use vitamin C, and I had my breast explantation over a year ago, back in August of 2019, and they told me I had to take antibiotics, and I said no. I told the nurse that I wasn't going to do it, and she goes, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to take vitamin C. I take vitamin C. I'll probably do a IV, vitamin C IV before and after. I'll eat raw, and I'll juice, and I'll do all that. And she goes, okay, but don't tell the doctor.
I know. I had the mercury taken out of my mouth. I had mercury in my mouth since I was a kid. And same thing, they wanted to put me, and I was at a functional office, and they wanted to put me on antibiotics. So I just pretended to take it, and I just dropped it in my hand. And then I went and I did ozone and vitamin C and, glutathione, and just made sure that my immune system was working. So going back to the question that you asked me was, what is the diet? So what I did is I created a species appropriate diet. and I separated my macronutrients from my micronutrients. So the macronutrients are the meat, fat, bone, and organ meat. That's what makes up the bulk of the diet. And then I separately created the vitamin minerals, the fatty acids, the supplemental products that help to heal the gut and maintain good, tight junctions. And also, this is important, and most people have never heard of redox signaling. And what that term means, it's the ability to communicate between your microbiome and your mitochondria. So your microbiome are all the organisms that live in and on your body, and your mitochondria are the organisms that produce our energy. So they literally make the energy. We don't even make our own energy, our mitochondria. So if we didn't have mitochondria, we couldn't make energy. How cool is that? So there's this communication. It's a fiber optic network, if you will. And the human, we make one molecule that is able to carry a piece of information forward, that the redox signaling. And it's nitric oxide. It comes from the lining of our blood vessel. So we produce one. Your mitochondria produce about 15 different redox signaling molecules, and one of them is ozone. How cool is that? So it's actually a byproduct of making energy. The mitochondria make these redox signaling molecules. Most of our redox signaling comes from bacteria. They produce hundreds of thousands to 1 million different redox molecules that allow that communication to happen. Wow. So again, I'm trying to emphasize for our listeners how important it is to support that microbiome, to give them a communication system to be able to enhance their job, because we can't live without them. We can't live or thrive without them. And same for our pets. So we have specific protocols that we use that help to support the tight junctions of the gut, support the microflora, the diversity of the microbiota. So it's not about taking a capsule that has 10 or 15 billion species of the same guys. It's about the diversity. And so we want to support that diversity through fermented foods. Now, think about when a wild animal killed, like a dog, wild dog or wolf or whatever, killed a buffalo or a deer or a rabbit. When they ate that intestinal tract of that animal, what is in that intestinal tract is fermented foods. That's exactly what the bacteria is doing. It's fermenting those foods and breaking it down. So that's how they got their natural microflora replenishment.
Wow.
They got their probiotic and their prebiotic from the animal's intestine that they were eating. Well, we don't see a whole lot of animals out there hunting buffalo and deer and rabbits anymore. So they're eating this processed food that is enzymatically dead, devoid of any microbes. Or if a company claims they're putting something in there, it's a limited number of species. So that becomes the bully instead of allowing this wide diversity of keystone species of all the other guys that need to be in there, because it's the families that help us to do what we do. We only know a smidge of what these guys do. Mm-hmm. So just because we've identified 10 or 15 of the, what we call the most important ones, is that really the most important, or are they part of the whole family? Right? The head of the family isn't just the most important part. Everybody else in the family is important too.
Amazing, amazing. And that you've been able to isolate all that and put that into your raw food for the animal species specific food. So what species do you do? Do you have the dogs, cats? Do you do anything else?
No, the food that we created is really just for dogs and cats right now. It's a carnivore diet.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And okay, so what else? Because, you know, when you say do not do pesticides, is there a way that we can keep the ticks and fleas and make our land look greener without doing the pesticides? Because, you know, Max was about this far up from the ground. And so his belly would always have little stickers and all that stuff. Thinking about it back then, you know, they would tell us to not allow our pets or walk on the grass for 4 hours after the pesticide. So that's what we did. We waited till the next day or whatever. But the moment it rained again, I'm thinking it probably activated all this stuff again. But he would go out there and he would just be so happy. And, you know, they licked themselves. And so I'm sure that his life was shortened because of that. So what can we do because we're looking at solutions. What can we do to make sure that our lawn doesn't have the ticks that could hurt our pets too? Because there's like, what's better, what's worse?
So your lawn is very similar to your body. If you notice that when your body's healthy and you have all the right nutrients, your body is resistant to disease.
Mm-hmm.
Plants that are healthy are resistant to disease.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't nourish the earth. So if we were able to create a healthy microbiome in the earth,
Mm-hmm.
earthworms and fungi and all these organisms that work in synergy with each other to create healthy soil, then whatever's growing on that healthy soil is going to be healthy. But if it's not healthy, it's simply telling you that if you're getting pests and you're getting diseases in your grass, then that's telling you that your soil isn't healthy. Go back to the roots, just like we go back to our gut. Go back to the soil. Now, my solution is I grow food. So I'm always adding, we make our own compost. I have horses, so we always have horse manure and chicken manure. And then we use wood chips. So in my garden, and my garden's a whole yard. So I put down cardboard, which when it breaks down, feeds the microorganisms. And then I put down wood chips, and that breaks down. Again, the organisms break all that down and it creates dirt, but very rich soil. And I can always tell how good my soil is because I put a little spade in the ground and there's bunches of earthworms in there. So I know that my ground is fertile and it has nutrients. And then we fertilize with natural ingredients. I don't use any hormones, chemicals, or pesticides. Now, that being said, I have a next door neighbor who is a glyphosate fan. So I put up a fence, and that glyphosate doesn't stay where you spray it. It's water soluble. So we now have a problem in our earth where there's detectable levels of glyphosate in our air and in our rain water. Everywhere on the planet, some places worse than others. Yeah. So again, this goes back to choices. Do we have to have a pretty green lawn from chemicals, or can we start nourishing if you want to grow grass, that's great, but start doing composting, start getting healthy soil so that the earth becomes healthier, and hence we'll have healthier things grow from it.
Wow. Wow. So what else are we doing, Dr. Siegel, that's hurting our pets that we don't even know that we're doing?
Water.
Water
would be the next major area, because water in nature would come down in a vortex. So when water rains and it runs down the mountains, there's a flow and an energy that is picked up, and water has memory. Water is actually the process with which information is transferred in our bodies. We're made of 70% water. In our bodies, we have what is now known as our extracellular matrix. It used to be thought that it was a void. And in the past, probably 15, 20 years, we're starting to understand the importance of what this extracellular matrix does. And it is literally the communication system where all information is transferred. And it's transferred in water, but there's a special water that makes that transfer that our bodies produce, and it's a structured water. If anybody wants to look up more information, they can go to Dr. Gerald Pollack. He has stuff on YouTube. He has TED Talks.
He's been in the classroom. He's been in the classroom. So we have books that we've given, Fourth Stage Water. He's unbelievable.
So we need to go back to understanding the importance of water. Dead water and contaminated water full of heavy metals, pollutants, glyphosate, that's what comes out of your tap. So I have people say to me, oh, well, we wouldn't drink tap water. We drink it from our filtered water. Well, where's your filtered water coming from? It's our refrigerator filter. Well, that's great. So it doesn't smell bad because it's filtering chlorine and it's filtering iron, but it's not taking out your heavy metals. It's not taking out glyphosate, and it's certainly not structured. So when water is traveling through these pipes, it is an unnatural way for it to behave. And all these other things are added to it at our water treatment plants, which even makes it less living. And so you have this horrible information coming into your body or your pet's bodies. So I am a huge fan of doing some form of a machine that does structured water. And it doesn't even have to be a machine. There are some they're like little things, little devices, and you pour your water through. It doesn't filter it, but it structures it. And another tip to make structured water, this is such an easy hack, is add a little Himalayan salt, which will help to structure it. Or take some of the vegetables that are organic from your garden. Hopefully you start to grow something, whether it's a grow box or whatever, but you take some of that fruit or vegetables because the water in their tissue is structured. And you add that to your drinking water, you're now taking the structured water from the plant and it's structuring the water in your glass.
So say that again, because I know that the fourth stage water is actually the juices from the vegetables, the liquid, the water from the vegetable juices, right?
It's structured, right. So that structured phase is actually a gel phase.
Gel phase, okay.
Gel phase. We were taught in school there's gas and liquid and solid, but there's a gel phase in there as well. And that's what Dr. Pollack really spent a lot of his career understanding. So it's that fourth phase of water that is actually the communication network. It's really what pumps blood around your body. It does all of the communication system that we are really supposed to have. And when we lose that structured water, when that easy zone, he calls it exclusion zone, when that easy zone shrinks due to electromagnetic frequencies, and I've proven this. I did a study where we did a live blood analysis on a person, and then we exposed them to a little fan that plugs into the computer. So it's a USB, high EMF. Hold that on for about a minute and a half, did the live blood again, and the cells went from being expanded to gnarly and stuck together. The condition is called rouleau for those in the medical field. So rouleau is not a natural field. It's actually where the cells are sticking together. Now they don't have their surface area because you've got cells all stuck to each other. They don't have the surface area literally to be able to pick up oxygen, deliver it to tissue, and pick up waste material from the cells and deliver it out the organs of elimination. So no wonder we see such unthrivingness when we're exposed to EMF, toxins, glyphosate, hormones, chemicals, pesticides, all of that, and stress. You know, the emotional thing we call stress, high cortisol levels, all of that shrinks that easy zone. Now your cells literally are sticking together and they don't have as good of a performance as they should. But when you do things like exposure to infrared, just walk out in the sun. If you don't want to buy an infrared sauna or infrared pad, walk outside, take your shoes off, do some grounding where you have the negative ions in the earth are moving up through your body, taking fresh, now they have to be organic, fresh organic fruits and vegetables or herbs. If I'm drinking water, I always have some mint. I have stevia because I grow stevia. I put rosemary in there. I take my fresh lemon, squeeze some in there. And that's literally structuring the water. So then when I'm drinking that, my body's water becomes structured.
Wonderful.
It's a synergistic experience.
Yes, wonderful. And I want to remind everybody that what Dr. Siegel was talking about was grounding. I have grounding products. If you go to my shop now bag at whenyounneedafriend.com, there's a picture of people walking on the earth. There's like people on feet on the sand. Click on that. And if you're interested, I know that Dr. Siegel purchased a lot of my mats. We did an event over at her place. And let me tell you, it does make a difference. It's grounding, but indoors. So if you can't get out, especially in the wintertime, where some people have like still wintertime, like in Canada and all the different places where the snow is about higher than my head, having a grounding mat on your bed, or right now I have it on my feet. Go to my Shop Now bag and see if this is something that you would want too. But I want to encourage you to go to whenyounneedafriend.com. At the beginning of the class, I always say, start sharing and make sure that you tag somebody, let people know, because we are being garbled with the algorithms. And I'm sure Dr. Marlene knows a lot of people that this is happening to, because the information that we're sharing is not part of the narrative. And so I want to make sure that we stay here on this platform for as long as we can so that we all know this information. And so I want to encourage you to go to whenyounneedafriend.com. please become a subscriber. While you're there, like and follow me on all my social media, including BitChute, because we're trying to grow BitChute so that it's seamless if we need to go anywhere. And so help us grow BitChute as well. While you're there, check out and you get lots of free gifts. You get my 90-day challenge to self-love ebook when you sign up. So there's lots of gifts too. And then you'll know where to find us. If anything were to happen, you'll always know where the hub is. While you're there, check out my sponsors, because without my sponsors, there would be no classroom. And Dr. Siegel knows a lot of the products that I bring, because look at her beautiful face. And I don't know if she's still using Keep Me Safe Organics, but we gave her a facial. We gave her a facial when she was last with us, and she always looks so beautiful. And so Keep Me Safe Organics, beauty products from head to toe. It's what I use on my body. First alternative care, telemedicine, 24/7 for your entire household, medical, non-urgent care or urgent care, whatever it is you want to call it. So your regular doctor, GP, dermatology, unlimited for the entire household for $19.99. And just so that you know, that includes also 3 hours a year of behavioral health counseling for the entire household for the special price with us, $19.99. And the pharmacy of Merritt Island, taking medications that are oral and putting them on for compounding. They're gearing up for national right now, because they're also being garbled as well. As you know, you could take a pill, you could take responsibility. They're taking lots of ownership so that the medication doesn't go through your digestive tract. And if you mention my name, you get 20% off your first order. Then you have Gaia Wellness Group, making you as beautiful on the inside out. That's in Indy, Atlantic, Florida. We also have First Alternative Therapies. We have Right Way Health and Wellness, which is a friend of ours, Dr. Jennifer Gramuth, who's also a sponsor of the classroom. So we have Ground Therapy, Brain Tap, which Dr. Siegel's also tried Brain Tap. I'm like, this is like going down memory lane of all the things that we've tried together. And we also have Avazia, which is microcurrent, to help manage your pain without medication. And then now I've got my bands, my B3 bands, that are helping me build muscle with less time and less weight. So check out all my sponsors and figure out ways that you can support my sponsors the way that they're supporting the classroom. And last but not least, you can become an enrolled student, and you can give of your time, your talent, of your treasure. And if you give of your treasure, you can give $1, or you can give $1,000, whatever. Help us grow the classroom, because it's getting more and more expensive to do the classroom. And I want to make sure that this is free for everybody that wants this information. Now, today we are talking with Dr. Marlene Siegel. You can find her at Pasco County, or not Pasco, at Lutz, Florida. And the name of her her clinic is Pasco Veterinary Medical Center. She has food. She's opening the spas, family and wellness, which is you can go with your pets. She has so many other, what are some of the other things, Dr. Siegel? And people can find you at drmarlenesiegel.com. And I'm going to add that link. I wasn't aware of that link until right before now. We started. And so what I'll do is I'm going to go back to the blog, and I will change it so that we can direct people to that particular one. What are some of the other things that you're doing, Dr. Siegel?
Well, the drmarlenesiegel.com also links all the other avenues. So the other thing that I have, besides the evoloveraw.com, which is our food site with all of our supplements, and that's really, really important so that you know what it is that you need to be purchasing, and buy the right things, not things that are just out there getting names. But I also have a teaching program. So I have a pet parent program that we launched last year, and it is transforming veterinary medicine for the pet parent. It is a 3-hour online webinar. Nice. And at the end of the webinar, then I and the person will have a 15-minute consultation where we answer any questions and help them to put together a plan. So this is, I'm not diagnosing or treating their pet's ailments, because unless I have a client-patient relationship, I can't do that. But this is the foundation work. So they really, 3 hours of amazing content, really deep dives into some of the stuff that we talked about and way more. And then I have a veterinary program, which is teaching veterinarians how to incorporate integrative medicine into their practices.
Wow.
So we have several veterinarians now that have enrolled, and same thing, it's a much longer program. It's way more hours, but it has different levels, and teaching veterinarians how to incorporate lasers, ozone, foundational medicine, the 6 principles, which if anybody wants to download the ebook, holistichealingvet.com is the free ebook that covers those 6 principles of how to support the body. So at least you have an outline. And then if you do the course, it's a deeper dive. And in the course for pet parents, I actually teach them what diagnostic tests that they should be looking at, asking their veterinarian about, and then what are the therapies for detoxification. So they can actually purchase the equipment themselves and do it at home.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. And I know that we love our pets. And I know I have a friend that spent over $100,000 doing chemotherapy on their pet, and the pet eventually died after that. And I tried to talk them into coming to see you, but they were convinced that that was the right thing for this. This man loved his dogs. He's never been a father, and so he loves his animals, and so that was a very, very expensive lesson. But I don't know if people understand that that's not gonna, something that causes cancer is going to take away cancer. Although there are a lot of people who have survived, but we can spend probably hours talking about that and why, but it doesn't solve the problem.
Well,
Talking about being the solution.
Right. It comes full circle to how we started. It's all
Yeah.
about what you know. You know what you know, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And we've been fed this narrative of fast, cheap, and convenient, of a lot of destructive behaviors out of convenience. Oh, let's go to faster Wi-Fi. Oh, let's go to more processed foods. Oh, let's go to more unnatural synthetic products. And we can't go there. You know, we're paying the ultimate price, which is our lives and the lives of our loved ones, 2-legged and 4-legged.
Yeah, yeah. And our pets are getting all our same diseases as humans. There are no sick animals. I mean, the animals that you see dead is because they were preyed upon. You don't see diabetes, you don't see heart disease, you don't see all that in the wild. And obviously we are doing something to cause that intervention. So so what else? So we talked about food, we talked about, stop polluting our land. We talked about just a little while ago about the water. What are other things that we can do we are doing that inadvertently, unintentionally can cause our pets to get sick or die?
So the next big area is air quality, after we've talked about water. And if anybody does want more information on systems that they can utilize, just contact me, and I'm happy to share some information. But air quality is the next big one. And we live in Florida. I know your audience is much wider than that, but in Florida, mold is a huge, huge problem. And you may not see it. You really have to have your house tested. Roof leaks are very prominent, having water breaks inside the house, having windows leak. It's really a major issue. So mold is a huge problem with air contamination. We also have to deal with the volatile organic compounds, which come from formaldehyde and fire retardants, and they are loaded in your clothing. So, you buy new clothes and you put them in your closet. If you don't have aeration, you can be really releasing a lot of toxic off-gassing, new furniture, carpets, all of that. So that's another area where I really am passionate about it, having people get some kind of a device. Again, they can contact me for my recommendations, but to help clean the air in your house so that you have good quality air. Get away from the petroleum-based candles and scents. Those are horrible and very, very toxic. And then we go into body care products, what touches your skin. And that's where I love the line that supports you, is because everything is clean and natural, and you're not adding. Just lipstick alone, I forgot what the statistic is, but the number of women who have lead toxicity, because lead is used in lipsticks. As you and I do this, but we have organic lipsticks. So it's, we're not dealing with all the toxins and petroleum-based products and the heavy metals that are huge. We do heavy metal testing in animals, and off the charts, at least 5 or more heavy metals: arsenic, cadmium, mercury, lead, arsenic that I say already. These are ridiculously high. Antimony, they're off the charts in these animals, and people go, well, where are they getting them from?
Wow.
The
Wow.
diet, the water, and the environment.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So we have about 5 minutes left in the classroom before we talk to the teacher's pets. And for those of you who have questions for Dr. Siegel, type in a queue and write your questions down, because this is an opportunity for us to ask questions for someone who is holistic, functional, alternative, progressive with our pets. And we're trying to create balance as opposed to hurting our pets with chemicals. But what about feeding your dogs or cats from the table? How harmful is that?
Well, it depends on what you're eating. So if you're eating processed foods and it's not organic, really bad. But they're carnivores. Cats are obligate carnivores. Like I mentioned, dogs are carnivores. So they really need to be eating a meat-based diet. The reason why we supplement the vitamins, minerals, and fatty acids is because we can't tell if the animal that was grazing, now we use all grass-fed, grass-finished meats, all free-range chickens. So we're very, very particular about the meats that we use in our carnivore diets. But you don't know what they've been eating on. So no one's testing the soil to test the plant to see what nutrients are in the plant so that you know what nutrients are in the body. Most animals that are eating processed foods are going to be vitamin D deficient, because carnivores get their vitamin D from their meat source. They don't get it from the sun. You and I can convert from either our diet or the sun, and the carnivores can't do that. So it's very imperative that the meat that they're eating actually has vitamin D from the sun that the herbivore was able to synthesize.
Wow.
That's huge. And vitamin D is necessary in over 600 metabolic pathways in the body. So I look at the body as a big biology vat, right? So of all these biochemical pathways and these vitamins, minerals, and enzymes, and all of these factors are part of what run the machinery. Sort of like having a very expensive car, but you didn't put any oil in it, or you didn't put any gasoline in it, or you put the wrong kind of oil and gas in it, right? It either isn't going to run at all, or it's not going to run well. So think of the body the same way. These are the nutrients that God gave us to have to make our body work. And we have all of these intelligent communication systems within us that know what they need to do. It's us disrupting them by either having a deficiency in essential nutrients. An essential nutrient is a nutrient that your body cannot make in enough quantity by itself.
Yeah.
So you have to eat it. Vitamin D is one of those. So we really need to be looking at testing to see what our deficiencies are, and then being able to supplement that correctly. And that's what we do in our clinic. And that's what I teach in the pet parent course. And then what are the excesses? How can we remove those toxins? So once we know that they're there, we have the means to be able to chelate or remove them. And of course, it gets into a lot more biology, but it's really a simple process. So here's what I want to leave our audience with is how to do this. So you're going to take a piece of paper, you're going to fold it in half, and you're going to have a column A on the left and a column B on the right. As you're learning information, whether it's from our talk today, whether you download my ebooks, whether you take my course, it doesn't, wherever you get your information from, make sure it's a good qualified source. And then column A are all the things that you should be doing, but you're not doing them yet. Okay, so you're just making a list, no judgment. You're just listing the things that you're hearing would be good things to do. Column B are all the things that you should not be doing, and you still are, right? Now you have a plan of action. Now you pick one thing from column A and one thing from column B. Column A, you start doing it until it's who you are, until it's your habit. 21 times usually does it. Column B, stop it.
Just stop that.
Don't do it again, right? So whatever that looks like. And it could be something that blends. Like let's say, step number 1 is drinking healthy structured water and avoiding water in a plastic container. Okay?
Very good.
So now you've done column A and column B all in one step.
Good job. Good job. That's a great tip. We only have a little bit left to go. Dr. Marlene Siegel, you are phenomenal. You can find her at Pasco Veterinary Medical Center. You can also go to drmarlenesiegel.com to learn more about all the little tentacles that she has out there to protect not only your pets, but to protect also yourself.
But I got one
And-
more thing I have to tell you, everybody. We are doing another Holistic Health Expo live in June.
No way.
Yes. And it's going to be an experiential event where you get all your videos, all your lectures ahead of time. And then when you guys show up for the event, you literally will go through all of the detoxification pathways.
Awesome. Awesome. We're going to talk a little bit more about that at the Teacher's Pet Corner. For those of you who are listening on podcasts, always know you can join us live. And I want to thank all of you for being a part of today's class. And Dr. Siegel, thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
My honor.
And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian Mcdermott and Dr. Marlene Siegel wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. That was a good ever. Good job. Hold tight. We're going to mute.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian Mcdermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, you know what you need to do, right, Doctor? Ah, there you go. You did it. I have to say it. For those of you who want to know where Lutz, Florida is it south of Tampa or is it north of Tampa?
It's just slightly north of Tampa, on right off I-75.
Yes, it's a beautiful place. The location for your Evo Love center is absolutely beautiful. That's when I got to meet you for the first time, although I had seen you at other events that we did with Dr. Cowden. Yeah. And yes, with all those things that, but for people don't know is that in 2015, I completely changed. Although in 2013, I started to learn about food and nutrition, and I started eating a raw vegan lifestyle. And then in 2015, something happened where I just could no longer dabble in, it was more than just food. It was our pets. It was our, everything, our life, our thoughts, and the environment, and my whole class changed. And back in 2015, I reached out to Dr. Siegel because Brittany, who was my first assistant that we did, she was the first creative director. Her pet was dying. And she had a tiny little Chihuahua, and she wanted to do it naturally. So we did research back then, and we found Dr. Siegel. But at the time, I don't know if she didn't get our messages or whatever. But I have known this woman without her knowing that I've known her since 2015. And it's so nice to be able to work with her and talk with her and learn. And you're into so many things. If somebody were to say to you, what is your main purpose because you're a veterinarian, but now you're talking about being an activist. And so have you found this journey has led you in when it comes to what you feel your purpose is on this earth?
Absolutely, to help create and transform the world in a healthier, sustainable direction. And that's for people, pets, and the planet. So that is truly looking at it from a global perspective. Mm-hmm. It all ties together. It's like saying, I'm going to be a doctor of eyeballs, but there's an organism attached to the rest of that eyeball, right? Yeah. So how do you I know we've become a very isolated type of myopic concept in medicine and in many areas of our lives, but truly we are a global entity. And we interact with ourselves and all the organelles in our body, our pets, our family members, our neighbors, our other states, and then it just keeps going out. And then we interact with the planet. How are we taking care of the insects and the trees and the foliage, and are we doing a good job when we're spreading chemtrails over the top of the earth? Maybe not such a good job, right? So we need to look at our global responsibility, and is our life and the way we're living our life, is it truly adding to the world, or are we taking away? And I think we're always on the conscious edge of creation.
Yeah.
Going a little spiritual here, I think we are always here to evolve. We're never meant to be stagnant. And even as an example of it, we're born and we're little and we grow, so does our thinking. And as we learn more, then we have more ways that we can apply that. And then we have our passions. I don't think that's an accident that we have these talents and these gifts and these passions to do things. Just most people just don't ever do anything with it. And I remember a time back in, 20 years ago when I was busy. I had a busy practice. I had 2 children. I was married. It was like 3 children actually. And then, trying to make all ends meet, and you're in charge of all of this. And it's like, oh my God, I just don't want to take on one more thing. But then the universe says, oh yeah, you are. And I've prepared you to be able to go there. And that's what it was for me. It was really the horse, metaphorically speaking, kicking me in the butt that said, you need to be the bigger version of you. You've been okay. You played small. You did a good job. But now we need you to really be you. Yes. What did you really come here to be? And we all of us have that. It's just whether or not we have taken the torch and decided to walk with it or run with it. Or, for some people, they put it down.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. It's just whatever is right for you. But if you feel like there's something that you just aren't satisfied with, and you see a need that the world has that you can provide, that there's no greater satisfaction than just stepping up to the plate and saying, I can do that.
Yes. And I say that even if you don't think you can do it, once you declare it, you will be given exactly what you need when you need it, when you trust in God. And again, I don't care. I'll become spiritual, and I'll say what I need to say. That was something that's before last year. And you and I have talked about this, that I did not do sports. I did not do politics, but because of what's happening in today's world, I've had to dive into a little bit of politics in the classroom, and dive into I still don't do sports because there's still people, I don't have the time to watch sports. Let's just be honest. And so, little by little, you get, you don't realize that this is happening, but you get pushed into the direction that God wants you to go into. There's no such thing as free will. I've learned this from Dr. Lorraine Day. No such thing. We think there's free will, but ultimately we're being called to do something, and we can get there the hard way, or we can get there the easy way. Eventually, get there when you can. It's like the song says. And so those are I'm glad that you were listening to the call. I've been listening to the call, and all of you that are watching today are listening to your call too. What are you being called to do? And if you trust the process, and you trust that you will be given, because it's a promise that you will be given what you need, when you need it, how you need it. And all you have to do is have that 20 seconds of courage to take that first step. That's all you need. And then the next step, and then the next step. And everybody has 20 seconds of courage, I say. But so I'm just grateful to you, Dr. Siegel, that you have been able to say yes 20 seconds at a time, to the point where you have, when you talked about the eye doctor, that's all they focus on is the eye. And whatever they're doing with that eye could affect something else in their brain, And so if they're not paying attention to the other things that could be happening, then all of a sudden your body's going to get out of balance. So I'm glad that when I see that all the things that you've grown, it's within what you were called to do. Absolutely. So good on you.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of people that are talking about 2020 as being the worst year of their life, and it was so negative, and it was so horrible, and certainly there was a lot of tragedies that were involved, but I look at that as it being the greatest blessing and the greatest gift, because number one, it called us to step up and be a better version of ourselves.
Correct.
For those who chose to do it. Number two, we found our tribe easier, because if you lift your head above the chaos, and you look around, you go, oh, look who else is here on this
Yeah.
plane. And so it made it really easy to find the people who resonate with you, who are awakened, if you want to use that term. So it really became an opportunity to get out of that slow cooking pot. You know how they say when you're cooking things, you know, if you raise the temperature slowly, you don't realize you're being cooked. And I think for a long time, the temperature has been slowly being raised, and we just kept ignoring it, and we kept making excuses, and we kept going on with the chaos in our lives until finally something slammed the whole entire world, good, bad, or indifferent, and said, now is the time to reset your thinking. And you saw the world kind of split into two. There were those that became fearful and imploded. And then there were those that said, there's a bigger agenda here, and I'm going to be part of the solution. And I love watching that. The earth has done this since the beginning of time, whatever that time is. We've seen the 5th natural extinction, which we're heading into another one now. And every time we go through an extinction, the world comes back with more diversity, with more wealth, with more enhancement. And so I don't think it has to be a time of the necessarily negative ending. I think it's a time for us to embrace who we are, why we are here, and how can we be that conscious co-creator that the world needs right now to be the light. And then you just be it.
That's right.
Whatever
That's right.
that is for you, you just be authentic to who you are. So I personally will not wear a mask. If I'm in surgery, I will, because I don't want to cough on my patient and spit on them accidentally. But other than that, I do not wear a mask. I will not go into a business that requires me to wear a mask. I just go somewhere else and give my money elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I help people to learn, what can you do to truly be healthy? What does that look like? Get rid of the soda, get rid of the sugar, quit buying from companies that are not supporting the world that we know we need to have. So it's really not hard. It's just choosing.
Yes.
Choosing.
You're right. You're right. And that, you know, I'm so excited that out of all of this, I Am the Solution, the New Truth series has come out. We're doing Bible studies with Dr. Lorraine Day. We're in the middle of doing the 50. We did the Book of Revelation the first time last year with
Awesome.
Dr. Day. And then now we're doing the 50 lessons from the Exodus. But we're up to, I think, 60 or 70. I think we're going to go up to 100 lessons from the Exodus, because we tend to over deliver, under promise. And so it's been phenomenal with Dr. Day. And then from there, well, before that, I had been working on, I was giving a talk from places called I Am the Solution. And so I would adjust it to that organization to help people become, part of the solution in a company. And that 1 hour talk, or almost 2 hour talk, turned into it's a 1 hour talk, 45-minute talk, 15 minutes of question and answers. And then it turned into a 3-hour talk with the Keep Me Safe Organic Girls. I did their team. And then it turned into a 15-hour workshop from Friday to Sunday. And the next one is April 16th through the 18th. We're doing a discount early bird special. So if you're interested in attending, it's the entire weekend. So I hope people want to become part of the solution. And this is how the mind works, dealing with our past traumas, how to release them, how to trust your creator and develop these bonds, and then how to be part of the solution. So we're getting on the same playing field. And it's been something that I never thought would happen, but it's been so unbelievably beautiful to see the transformations. But unless we decide that we want to change, change will not happen. And it will go over us and past us, and everybody else will grab it, but we won't if we're not willing to change. Have you seen that with you and what you've been doing with your practice as well?
Oh, absolutely. But I love moving my cheese. So I am all about adding and adding, which is why we have the spread of technology and services that we have. We have the most integrative processes of anywhere in the entire world.
Yes.
You know, ozone, hyperbarics, lymphatic therapy. We're teaching lymphatic to veterinarians now. Yeah. So there's all of these modalities that really all bring us back down to our core. is how do we take care of our bodies, our pets' bodies, and Mother Earth.
Beautiful. And I'll let that be the last word. There was a question here. It said PQ, but I don't know what PQ stands for. I don't know if that was an accident, but Casey, I don't know if you have a question for Dr. Siegel, but or if PQ means something. I don't know if it does, but I'm sorry I won't be able to ask your question if that's what it was. Let me just check real quick before we go. Is there any final words, Dr. Siegel, that you would like to say that we didn't maybe cover before the class was over?
I think just to start your journey, lift your head above the chaos, and find a partner. If you need extra support, got Lillian, you got me, you have so many organizations out there that are making such positive movements. Get off of the mainstream media and start finding your tribe, right? Because it's in the strength of your tribe, it's in the strength of our numbers that we are going to make changes. There's millions of us, and there's just a few out there making an agenda. So when we as a society, when we choose to spend our dollars and spend our time and spend our energy and spend our actions in a more sustainable manner, and we do it as a group, in 30 days, if we all got off the internet and quit supporting companies that we won't mention names, but you quit buying from them, in 30 days, we have taken our power back, right? They cut us off and said, no, my business was essential, but for all these people who weren't, we were told somebody can't go to your business, really? So why are we giving them our dollars?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. Food for thought, food for thought. So I want to thank you, Dr. Siegel. For those of you who want to learn more about Dr. Siegel, you can go to drmarlenesiegel.com. You can go to my blog at whenyounneedafriend.com. After the class, I'm going to change it to drmarlenesiegel.com because that's where you can find everything. Or you can go to pascovet.com. Okay, so we're going to say goodbye. Tomorrow, Dr. Lorraine Day is going to come into the classroom to talk about her latest book. But we're going to do 2 shows and tune in to learn more. So we will see you. Say goodbye, Dr. Siegel.